Tell me about the war story, $1 Million Tea sitch.
Oh.
For people that don't know.
Yeah. So we had been manufacturing our tea in Australia, and we, of course, this was the first product that I'd ever tested manufacturing with in China, because it was the only brand I had at the time. And so we moved over to Hong Kong for a while and were testing with a manufacturer out of China. We found him on Alibaba. He had some, pretty good reviews. He'd been around for a while. He was like a gold rating or platinum or whatever, like the good one on Alibaba is.
Yeah.
And we tested a few initial runs with him, and they were great. The tea was awesome quality. We even sent it back to Australia to double check the quality. Got it tested in Australian labs as well. Everything came back perfectly. We're like, great, okay, let's press go. Because operations in the product side isn't always my favorite, I was like, how good would it be if we stopped running out of tea and in and out of stock all the time and just ordered like a year's worth of tea all at once, and we can just have it there. We know, and we're growing at this rate. So on my current growth projections, I think we need to order this much tea. So we placed an order with him for $1.3 million worth of stock. At the time, the US and Australian dollar were fairly on par, so it's not as crazy as that is now for Australians. But $1.3 million worth of tea. Everything had been great to that point. We had a really good personal professional relationship with the manufacturer. We'd done our samples. We'd tested smaller batches of the tea. Customers had it. It was great. First, we got it sent to our Hong Kong warehouse. Mm-hmm. It was then held there for a little bit, so that cost a bit. Then we got it sent to Australia. Just going through customs was like 80 grand because it got stuck in customs. In fact, I don't even know how customs let this into Australia. I'm not very impressed with Australian customs because they let in literal compost and mold. It was we opened it up. It was this bacterial mess of metal bolts, and it stunk like rubbish. I wouldn't even let my team touch it without putting gloves on. We sent it off to be tested just for fun. We already knew we were going to have to throw it straight out. We're like, great. Great. No, that was not the reaction. We were like, we are fucked. So we tested it. It was full of E. coli, all these different strains of bacteria. It was
really nice stuff.
Pit of disease. Yeah. So that was our monumental screw up when it came to manufacturing. So that was $1.3 million. We were so lucky that we had cash in the bank. I paid that order out of cash, not a debt. If we had a $1.3 million debt that we had to keep repaying, it probably would have killed us.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that we would have gone under if that was the case. But luckily, I always say that your profit margin is your mistakes margin when you're first starting out. So lucky we had a pretty high mistakes margin because that was a huge one. But it just, we seemed like we'd done everything right. But turned out that basically in China, there's no, and within our contract with our manufacturer, there was no section about subcontracting. So when he got such a big order, he'd been producing the other orders in his factory, which was great. But when he got that, he was like, yeah, sure, I can do it. In China, they always say they can do it. They're like, we can do that. I would, test that. And he basically subcontracted that out to another factory, who then subcontracted it out again. It had been subcontracted 8 times by the time it got to the last factory. Even they couldn't do it. There just was not that much raw material going round. $1.3 million worth of tea was over a ton of tea or something.
Yeah,
and
wow.
tea is so light. Think about that. It was, the boxes filled up an entire warehouse of boxes. Wow. So there was just crates and crates and crates of tea.
I'm curious, did you get your money back or any form of money back?
No, nothing.
How come?
Just noted it as a loss on our tax bill. So that was the only thing that we got back. saved a little tax. Great. But no, we didn't get any of our money back. It was across too many different jurisdictions. I called my lawyer in Hong Kong and he was like, Gretta, you have a Hong Kong company that's owned by an Australian director that's being operated and has entered into an agreement with a Chinese company. They're gonna, you're gonna be operating against 3 different jurisdictions. You'll pay double that and you won't even get your money back at the end of the day, just in legal fees. So his advice was just drop it. And I was like, I can't just drop it. There's the principle. I'm so happy I just dropped it, to be honest. Probably still would be going through that legal battle now. So it was a good thing to just kind of cut our losses there. The bad thing was then we were 3 months behind in production because we thought that we were going to have stock. So then we had to go straight back to basically creating a production line ourselves and having our team mixing and packing all of the orders by hand again.
Yeah,
which
crazy.
So the cost having
labor.
An Australian minimum wage is quite high. We paid our team pretty well. To just be packing tea, that is. I mean, think about it compared to a machine packing tea. So we felt that loss in a lot of different kind of economic ways after that 1.3 mil anyway. We never really calculated and worked out the full kind of loss.
Yeah, wow.
We'll do it one
That's
day
a
as
hard
joke.
lesson.
Hey Foundr fam, we hope that you loved that clip. If you did, you can click through right here to watch the full interview. You don't want to miss this one. See you there.